Welcome back. Thanks for watching. The Dragon's Forge is steaming, in full operation. Let's get the likes up. All right, so once the dragon looked down in its private chamber in the forge at all the weapons it had ever created, and it could only marvel in its own brilliant creation. It had outdone itself. It had fabricated a weapon in the image of itself. A weapon shaped like a long dragon, long snake-like body, tough, hard, sectional, flexible. It could be wrapped around the wielder, coiling and uncoiling with deadly force, or it could constrict around its opponent at close range. Sleeper techniques, choking, pummeling, punching, locking, and of course striking. So, the weapon itself is one of the most versatile weapons you will ever find. It also does have its downsides. It's not a bladed weapon. In the ancient world, this would have been made of iron. The other downside is sometimes the chain could get the weapon hung up on a more powerful weapon or an unexpected weapon. Not likely that this weapon was openly employed on the battlefield. Now, if you look today at everything online with 3 sectional staff, you're gonna see all the spinning movements, controlling the 2 outer ends with the middle end, and other grips as well. But it's gonna be a lot of long range, spinning, whirling, some acrobatic techniques, all good stuff, legitimate, very much a part of the system. But we're just gonna talk about something today that's a little more rare. All right, we're gonna talk about 2 shapes. So this episode is sponsored by the letter A and the letter Z. We're gonna talk about both of those. But before we can get into that, we have to talk about the deployment, the place of deployment. Where do we wanna come from? Now with this grip, this is the double outside grip, meaning I have a grip on the outermost points of the outside shafts, all right? Now the position we wanna go to is the Z chamber. So you see how I go there? You have the middle shaft hanging out. Pick up the end, here we go. Right under the arm, clip. We just pinched right there. Now we are in the perfect prime position to apply the outside double grip in the A-frame or the Z grip. So the A-frame grip, also known as the Dragon's Triangle, multiple applications. This is a very powerful grip, not to be confused with the inside, the double inside grip that looks like this. You can strike with each end. Now, if you practice Kali, you can see Redondo, Abanico, all day long. This is a very tight weapon, coiling and uncoiling. But that grip, that forward Z grip or the inside Z grip, we'll save that for another video. It's just showing you a variation. So this is the one we're working with. Once again on the chamber. Right down like you're sheathing a dagger into a shoulder holster. Right here. Now, we're ready to rock and roll. We can strike out multiple directions. Now look at the nature of how this strikes. Let's take the Z grip, for example. Now this weapon represents the coiling and uncoiling, storing and releasing dragon's power, coiled power. India, they would call it Kundala, Sanskrit, coiled energy. That's what we're working with here. So we can pull in and snap. Now the weapon itself by default replicates a heavy serpent because it has 2 hits to create that. The first is the end of the first stick. The second, the end of the middle shaft, is catapulted over or under the first, being pulled back by the chain. This creates tremendous energy. So it's 2 hits, not 1. We can also hit back, down, out. Now this works hand in hand with our triangle. To block it, we can strike multiple ways. Now if this strikes forward, it's also 2 hits, but this is a linear strike. Hard to see that at normal speed, but you're hitting with the tip, the back end pushes forward, right? So it's 2 hits. It's 1 with the metal cap, then a thrust, just like a battering ram. Just like a snake striking, all right? So from our Z grip, we can do all kinds of things. We can condition. We can change up with the other side. Now this is the overhanded Z grip. If I want to use the underhanded Z grip, I'm here. I can strike, I can jab. Endless techniques. So we can always go right back into the Z when we want to chamber, all right? So remember, this is it. So from the dragon's triangle, we can strike, we can turn this triangle. We can also block, protecting the back. Strike. Now you see how I roll that Z over? You can roll the Z over. Anytime you want, right back into the Z. Right here. All right. So, I've been looking for this. I haven't seen it. Doesn't mean it's not out there. But if you see this type of stuff with this format and this kind of language, you know where it's coming from. Right here on Black Dragon Kung Fu TV. That's my disclaimer. All right, let's get those likes up. We will see you soon. Seafood Les Clements out.